What's up everyone and welcome to the August/September Canon update. Last month I was too slammed prepping for DragonCon panels to finish everything that came out in August, especially because a lot of the biggest stuff released right at the end of the month, so I'm combining last month and this month to play some catch up. Star Wars Outlaws came out right at the end of August. It has a ton of connections to other canon stories that take place in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, specifically everything surrounding Crimson Dawn, Kira, and the Syndicate War. It also reveals how the Empire itself attempted to use that Syndicate War to its advantage by infiltrating the galactic underworld. If you want to hear my full thoughts on the game or all about its various connections to other Star Wars stories, I'll link to both of those videos in the cards. Padawan's Pride was a surprise short story that was released on Audible on September 19th. It takes place 3 years after The Phantom Menace and is about one of Obi-Wan and Anakin's earliest missions together, which happens to surround pod racing. It was a fun time and made me want more stories about this era. I'm usually not big into audio dramas because I tend to be more of a visual learner. I'm able to focus better when I'm reading or watching something, but Padawan's Pride was short and focused and had a fun plot. If you're interested in listening to it for free, you can by clicking on the link in the description or visiting www.audibletrial.com/Star Wars Explained. A new crop of Young Jedi Adventures episodes came out in August. They continued to be cute and fun and have some connections to the larger High Republic era, like the return of Bel Zettifar, who appears to be handling his missing master very well. We also learned about a Jedi Master Puba like Nubs, and Maz Kanata popped up in an episode. Beware the Nameless was a middle-grade High Republic book that was released right at the end of August. It actually moved that era forward in some big ways. It would appear that the Nameless are now able to affect non-Force-sensitive people, or maybe they can simply aid in the spread of the mysterious blight. It's unclear right now, but the Jedi now have a handful of the creatures captured to study, so hopefully all will be revealed soon. Maybe in Tears of the Nameless, the young adult novel that just came out on September 24th. I haven't had a chance to finish it yet, so I can't speak on any new big canon revelations, but I will be doing a full review of the book as soon as I can. The Edge of Balance 3 was the third volume of the High Republic manga, and it might be my favorite of the bunch so far. It brought in Imrit Kaftor and Aslan Rel and reanimated some people who were turned to wood back in the first volume, which was wild, and might give us more clues about the Blight and the Dringir and how they're connected. And Aslan seemed to disintegrate in Nameless with his mind. There was a lot going on with Aslan in this one that makes me psyched to read more about him in Tears of the Nameless. The High Republic issue 10 is the last one for a while. Skier almost lets Baron Boolan experiment on him to potentially regain his connection to the Force, but Keeve pulls him back from the brink. Together, they're able to incapacitate and capture the Mad Nile scientist. Also, Tarek survived an explosion from issue 9 that I thought definitely killed him, which I'm glad he's still alive, but it's also just one of those Star Wars and comic tropes, yet another fake-out death. The Kelnaka one-shot comic gave us a little backstory for the Wookiee Jedi from the Acolyte and tells us why he has those tattoos on his head. He took on a Padawan who had lost their master in the destruction of Starlight Beacon. He learned that his new apprentice's culture had a tradition of tattooing markings on their heads to honor their greatest teachers, and Kelnaka eventually tattoos his own head to honor his Padawan who had continued to teach him even as a long-lived Jedi Master. I usually struggle to connect with one-shot comics, but this one was well done and emotional. The High Republic Adventures issues 8, 9, and 10 continued the story of the Seswana sector and saw Lula and Zine get engaged. The Stormwall also crossed over the planet Eriadu, homeworld of the Tarkans, and their leadership struggled on whether to side with the Jedi or bend the knee to the Nile. The 10th issue was cool, giving us some visuals of stuff first detailed in the novel Tarkin about how that family would go hunting on the Carrion Plateau. It looks like the Tarkans might not stand with the Jedi, but I think this is one of those comic cliffhangers that will be resolved in issue 11, page 1. The High Republic Adventures Crash and Burn seemed to conclude the story of Crix, and I think it's a little strange it happened outside of the main comic series, since he was such a big part of Phase 1. He and Crash worked together to assassinate Marchion Ro, but Crash's friends realize she is heading down a destructive path, so she pulls closer to them. Crix continues on and gets himself killed. Echoes of Fear issue 1 was a High Republic Adventures comic that gave us a little more information on the Echo Stones through a story about a Sith Lord named Darth Ravi. The art for this one by Vincenzo Federici and Vincenzo Riccardi was rad. The story was a cool parable. Maybe it's true or maybe it's not, but we at least know that the Echo Stones have legends about them, and Reith Silas is intent on studying them further. Star Wars issue 49 wrapped up the Commander Zara plotline that started way back in this run's very first issues, but more importantly, I appreciated that it gave Leia a struggle between her life as a symbol of hope, but also as a person with her own desires. She basically has to give herself permission to be a little selfish and go save Han. Star Wars issue 50 was the last of the series, and I liked it a lot. Luke and friends returned to the Living Fungus Sea, where he was able to connect with Aslan Rel, who told Luke about an artifact called the Grim Rose. It's a device that can kill anyone if you have their genetic material. So they get a hold of Palpatine's and activate it, but realize it won't just kill him, it'll kill a vast number of people connected to him, innocent or not. Obviously, they stop it, but it was a fun morality discussion, and it was all contained in a story Jedi Master Luke told to Ben Solo. It was a good end to the run. Darth Vader's final 2 issues were 49 and 50 as well. Vader defeats the Schism Imperial, stops them from getting Luke, and lets his son escape. He also fights Palpatine again, and bends the knee again, which I kind of feel like we've been doing over and over since the first arc of this series. The last issue had some little side stories to wrap up all the other characters, and I enjoyed those, especially Walden Kitsters, who were able to return to Tatooine to free their childhood friends from slavery. Inquisitors issues 2 and 3 saw the 5th brother, the 7th sister, and the 9th sister all attempt to take down the Jedi Tensu run. He beats them all and basically tells them to go get their master to hunt him down. I wasn't super into this series at first, but by the end of the 3rd issue, I have been won over by Tensu. He's starting to stand out to me a little bit more, but I expect he won't be lasting much longer. LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy isn't canon, but it was still a fairly major release in September. A young man named Sig accidentally removes the cornerstone of the galaxy, remixing everything about the universe he knew. I really enjoyed all 4 episodes. They were a love letter to Star Wars and LEGO, and it was chock full of jokes having fun with Star Wars and all its silliness. Despite it not being canon, I will give it my Story of the Month honor for September, and I'll give it to Star Wars Outlaws for August. But that's it for August and September. In October, we're getting 1 new novel and 10 new comic issues, including the start of the post-Return of the Jedi comics leading up to the Battle of Jakku. The Canon update will return at the beginning of November to cover all those new stories. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.